That helps when you turn on the microphone. All right. Hopefully we're all good now. And we're about to read from Exodus chapter 17, verses 8 through 16. That will end chapter 17. For so Amalek came and fought against Israel and Rephidim. And Moses said to Joshua, Chase thou men and go out and fight tomorrow against men of Amalek. Lo, I shall stand in the top of the hill, and I shall have the ear of God in mine hand. Joshua did as Moses spake, and fought against Amalek. For so Moses and Aaron and Hur stayed on the cup of the hill. And when Moses raised the hands, Israel overcame, for so if he let down a little, Amalek overcame. So though in the hands of Moses were heavy, therefore they taken a stone and put it under him, in which stone he sat. For so Aaron and Hur sustained his hands on either side, and it was done, that his hands were not made weary, till the going down of the sun. And Joshua drove away Amalek and his people in the mouth of the sword, that is, by the sharpness of the sword. For so the Lord said to Moses, Write thou this in a book for mine, and take in the ears of Joshua, for I shall do away the mind of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses builded an altar, and clept the name thereof the Lord, mine enhancer, and said, For the hand of the Lord alone, and the battle of God shall be against Amalek, from generation into generation. And now the King James. Then came Amalek and fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moses said unto Joshua, Choose us out men, and go out and fight with Amalek tomorrow. I will stand on top of the hill with the rod of God in mine hand. So Joshua did as Moses said to him, and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to pass, when Moses held up his hand, that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the one side and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And the Lord said unto Moses, Write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar, and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi. For he said, Because the Lord has sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. And there ends that reading. Interesting here again, verse 15, Jehovah Nissi or Nisi is stated in the King James. But here, the Lord mine enhancer. Very different. Nothing about Jehovah. And in fact, if anybody recalls, and probably no one does, I do, when we were reading the prior parts of the Bible, the Wycliffe version referred to Adonai as God, and in the King James version, the same verse referred to him as Jehovah, which is clearly two different names. So King James changed it to Jehovah for some reason, and here they reinforced Jehovah, whereas again in Wycliffe, no mention of such thing as Jehovah. The Lord mine enhancer. And often in Wycliffe, it only capitalizes things in a very restricted sense. The Lord gets capitalized, the word God gets capitalized. Amalek is a name that gets capitalized, but in King James it seems to use capitals a little more liberally, like Lord is now all capitals, and it will use right, like here is W's capitalized. So just an observation. And let's look at this account from the Ron Wyatt series. It follows the rock at Horeb, and here you go.
And Moses built an altar and called its name, "The Lord is my banner." Here in the encampment is a large square altar assembled with uncut stones, and was built after the defeat of the Amalekites. Also in the encampment are the remains of these circular formations of stone, used around the base of their tents. This is clear evidence of prior occupation at this site. Our next destination is Jebel al-Lawz, or Mount Sinai, the mountain of God. As we pan across the mountains, we see the peak of Mount Sinai that was burned by the presence of God.
There it is. Right, yeah. They say the rocks are very dark.
The blackened peak of Mount Sinai marks the location where the mountain was on fire. Mount Sinai was completely in smoke because the Lord descended upon it in fire. Its smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked greatly.
That's coming up. Exodus 19, verse 18. Look at that, though. Again, physical evidence. Very hard to get to this region to get this imagery, so not many people have even physically gone to this area unless they are, in with the government, in with the local authorities and the military and such. Because, they don't like everybody to get to see all these places for some reason. Although now Noah's Ark is a national park, I think, so they do encourage people to go see it. I might want to do that sometime if I get the chance. It's in Turkey, I believe. Another fascinating story and fascinating physical evidence. All right. Ciao for now.